Google's releasing a new 4K streaming device. Particle's upcoming Tachyon single-board computer has a Snapdragon CPU. 1X Player's releasing a brand new eGPU. And we can finally order Qualcomm Snapdragon Elite X Dev Kit. What's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be talking about some upcoming tech that was recently announced. Some of this stuff is up for pre-order, some of this stuff will be available later on down the road. But the first thing I wanted to talk about here was the Google TV Streamer 4K. So Google recently announced this. It's actually up for pre-order over on their website. Now, I'm actually excited about this because it's been a while since we've seen a good Android TV box or a good streamer hit the market from a larger company, but this does mean that Google may be retiring the Chromecast moniker for their upcoming devices. So obviously, new name here is the Google TV Streamer 4K, and given we've got the 4K on the end, they may release an HD version just for 1080p streaming down the road, but this is up for pre-order right now. $99. They do have two color variants, but this hazel is a Google Store exclusive. Personally, I do like the porcelain version. It's also, I think, up for pre-order over on Best Buy's website. Moving down here, definitely looks like they've upgraded this across the board when you compare it to the older Chromecast with Google TV. Now, this is still up for sale, but with the new Streamer 4K, up to 4K, HDR10+, Dolby Vision, also supports Dolby Atmos, voice remote with customizable buttons, and Find My Remote, which is something I personally really like about these devices. I've got kids and losing a remote happens every 5 minutes, so your remote has a small speaker built in to make it easier to find. They've also upgraded the storage here from 8 on the old Chromecast TV to 32, plus it's got an Ethernet port on the unit. You don't have to deal with adapters like we do with some of these smaller streaming devices. It works with Google Home, so Dolby Vision, HDR10, HDR10+, HLG, Dolby Digital Plus, and Atmos. It's got Wi-Fi 5 built in and Bluetooth 5.1. I actually figured that this would be at least Wi-Fi 6 here. 4 gigabytes of RAM, USB Type-C to power the unit up, HDMI 2.1. Again, we've got Ethernet, and obviously it's going to be running Android TV OS. And when it comes to the overall CPU specs, they haven't actually given out exactly what CPU this is using. I was kind of hoping it was going to be a custom job from them, but they're stating that this is 22% faster than the older Chromecast device, which isn't a huge jump, and it kind of looks like we may still be using an Amlogic CPU, but they've doubled that memory, going up to 4 gigs, and we've got 32 gigs of storage. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. Been a while since we've seen a good TV box hit the market. As soon as I can get my hands on one, I will be doing a review. But the next thing I wanted to talk about here was an upcoming single-board computer from a company known as Particle. You may have heard of them with their other boards. This is the new Tachyon, and what makes this kind of special is it's got a pretty powerful Snapdragon SoC. Now, of course, it is coming in very small form factor. It looks to be about the size of the Raspberry Pi 5. It's got 5G capabilities, and from what we've seen so far, it looks like we'll be able to install a custom version of Linux. That was definitely running the GNOME desktop. Not exactly sure what it's going to be based on, but it's actually up on Kickstarter right now. And at the time of making this video, it looks like they've got over 1,000 backers, 22 days to go. Early bird special, $199, but it ships January 2025. So it is a ways out. I'm really debating on whether to go ahead and order this or not. Their non-early bird special is $219, which isn't that far off. And given the kind of specs that this thing has, it actually looks like a really nice little setup, especially if we can run a full desktop Linux operating system. It's got an 8-core Qualcomm Cryo CPU with that big core going up to 2.7 GHz, 5G sub 6 GHz cellular connectivity, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigabytes of internal UFS storage. It's got the Adreno 643 GPU, USB-C 3.1, which is going to act as our display port and our power input, 2x PCIe lanes, and a 4-lane DSI connector. Now, there's no mention of HDMI, so if you don't have a USB Type-C display, you will have to use an adapter for this. It's got 2 CSI 4-lane connectors for our camera system, powered by USB Type-C or lithium battery, and the battery charger is integrated here, so I'm sure they'll have the battery as a separate option. It'll support secure boot and an encrypted file system, and this is really going to depend on whether you're running Linux on it or not. I'm sure we'll probably see Android running on this board, but I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Would this be something you're interested in at that $219 price point? The next new announcement was actually from 1X Player, the 1X GPU 2. So the 1X GPU hasn't been on the market for that long. I've done some testing with it, personally really like it. It's a nice eGPU dock. It supports Oculink and Thunderbolt or USB 4 connectivity. Plus it's got an M.2 slot on the bottom of it. With the new 1X GPU 2, they've upgraded the GPU from that Radeon 7600 MXT to the RX 7800 MXT, which on paper is a pretty big jump in GPU performance, and this is actually the first time we're seeing a 7800M in an eGPU, so it'd be really nice to see what this thing can really do once it's released, but this is basically all the information we have on it right now. And the final thing I wanted to talk about here was Qualcomm Snapdragon X Elite Dev Kit, which is basically just a mini PC powered by that new Snapdragon X chip. Really small form factor, but it's packing a lot of power when you consider the chips that are released on the market so far. This is actually using the 12-core Snapdragon X Elite X1E 84100, which is their most powerful X Elite chip on the market. It's got a dual-core boost up to 4.3 GHz, the Adreno graphics with up to 4.6 teraflops of performance, a Hexagon NPU with up to 45 TOPS of performance, 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM, and with these they have been using some really fast RAM, over 8,000 MHz, a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD pre-installed, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4, and it's coming in at a relatively small form factor. Now personally, I've been keeping an eye out for these mini PC manufacturers to come out with the Snapdragon X Elite mini PC. We really haven't seen anything except for this dev kit, but these dev kits do get quite expensive. And this one's no different, coming in at $899. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is for development, but you could always use this as an everyday PC also. I've done some testing on the Snapdragon X Elite, much lower end chip. This is their highest end version, and I'm kind of really interested to see what this thing can do. But I'm probably going to hold off until we see another manufacturer come out with a lower price point. But either way, I personally thought that this was really interesting. So yeah, Google's new TV streamer is up for pre-order. I'll definitely be getting one of these. I'll have a video coming up. Let me know what you want to see running on this. I'm excited about the Tachyon single board computer. 1X GPU here, depending on how it performs over that 7600M XT, could be interesting. And again, when it comes to these Snapdragon X Elite powered mini PCs, I'm really just going to wait until something's released to the market at a lower price point. But I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Are any of these upcoming products something you're interested in? Have you pre-ordered any of this stuff? Let us know down below. And like always, thanks for watching.